Brilliant. So here we are again. You're about to waste another hour on silly things like the heart. So why don't we just take a moment and go there? And before we do, I just want to stir up your mind a little bit and tell you that I would like you to tell me, to engage me with questions. We have a new rule here locally in Miami, because everybody sits here like a statue looking real pretty and in the heart, and mind is dead. And then as soon as we turn the cameras off, they're all starting to talk and they're all starting to ask questions. And it becomes very animated and great. So we're not doing that anymore. When we're done, we're done. So we'll see if that gets us a little bit more into a discourse, a discussion, which I just love much more than me sitting here and doing a monologue. Monologues are okay when we do a meditation or something like that, but the rest of it, I just want to feel you in this process. I want to especially hear what is not working in your life, because that's where the work is, where the pain is. That's where we need to go. That's how the love can come out. When we go into those places and we find what it is that hurts you, and we set the stage for that to resolve itself. That's our work. So that's what I want to hear from, and I want to, most of you already know this, that this is a very practical teaching. What we do here is not sit and talk great theories and all that kind of stuff. We work with what needs to be worked on so we can become free. But let's start first to kind of just let go of the stress of the week. So bring your heart to the breath and just slow down. And find that place in you beyond time and space where there's absolute and true rest. And if you get even the slightest whiff of that, it is precious. It can lead you on to the next and the next, deeper and deeper into this place of peace in you. So bring your attention to the heart center, deeper than any concept of heart, any emotion, any feeling. Coming into that which you are, love itself. And right now that may just be words, but they're pointers, they're pointing you in a direction. So just follow the direction. You're just following that direction into yourself. Now, there may be parts in you that you're not so friendly with. But the place of love in you is beyond those, always internal to any disruption or stress, any heaviness, any need, anything at all that can cause you stress. So breathe in and out of the heart. Settle into that. to help your mind, you can imagine this point of light in the very core of your chest, radiant and brilliant. And then let this point of light expand and let it become like a sun inside your chest, effortlessly but powerfully radiating its warmth and its light into the whole of your being. And receive that light. Receive that light in every core of your body, every cell of your body, and especially in the places of old pain. It's just you now, you and that love that has been hidden in you, that you've looked for everywhere else. But here it is, in the core of your being, because it is the core of your being. So let it heal you. Let it wash all impurities, all stress out of your mind, your body, your personality, out of the dream of your life. And know that with this pure intention for liberation, the dream of your life, every single part of it, will take you safely home to yourself. Everything you love, everything you hate, it is all there for you to bring you home to yourself. Because this love that is the essence of life, is in everything. It is also in the things you hate, the things you can't stand, the things that torture you. And it is for you to find it there, to know that you live in a world of love, that you are a being of love. And if this seems like too big of a step right now, don't worry. Many small steps lead to the accomplishment of the great journey. So just fall even more deeply into your heart. Let it attract you like the most powerful magnet. Drink from this source, like the man coming out of the desert into the oasis. The oasis, the well of your heart, that never runs dry. You just lost your bearings and got lost. Drink from that well. Let it heal you. If there ever was magic, this water of the heart has magical powers. Go deeper into this comfort of the heart. When the mind comes in, just say to it, not now. Say it kindly. And come back into the heart. And think about specific things that have bothered you lately. And where do you feel those emotions in the body, the sensations? Just scan through the body and you find them. And then in that place, the place of that tightness, that pain, that darkness, that emptiness, absorb that light from the heart. Drink that nectar. Let it heal those places of pain directly, swiftly, deeply. You are a being of enormous love, unending love. And you have mistaken yourself for a being of pain. And that has become your habit. But the heart is never fooled. Come into the heart and taste what you are. And the ups and downs of life continue. And maybe you're in a down cycle right now. And the thought may be there, oh, this business with the heart doesn't work. It's not for me now, I'm too messed up. Well, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. It may be true or it may be false. And it may be your choice. Because when you believe that you can't, then you can't. And if you believe you can, then you can. And this is how the faith in you grows. First, maybe you pretend. You pretend that you can. And you surprise yourself. And suddenly the heart speaks to you. And you listen. And you let it take you into its most comfortable depth. And then the mind comes back. But you know something now. You know there is this flavor of sweetness in you. This powerful place of peace. How is peace powerful? We think of peace as something boring. Peace is powerful in that it extinguishes that which causes us pain. You find that peace in your heart. You let it wash through you. And you can come here again and again. Your habits of pain may momentarily win the day, but they are no match to the power in your heart. So take a deep breath and exhale. Inhale again. Relax. There's a story of my guru where he came to one of the towns in northern India where he used to roam around. And when he showed up in a town, immediately his devotees would come and gather around him. And so they had this lively scene there. And then he sent a few of them off and said, there's a house at the edge of the village that looks like it's all boarded up. Go there and bring the people that are in there. And they went to the house and they banged on all the doors and nobody in there. That is just a house nobody had lived in for, 20 years. And they came back and said, Maharaji, there's nobody in there. And he let them sit down. He kept on doing what he was doing. And a half hour later, he said, okay, go again and bring those people that are in that house. And they went, they banged on the doors again, and nothing. And then finally, a door opened up, and an old man came out. And he and his wife were in this house. They were a couple from southern India, and they had been in the north on pilgrimage. And someone had stolen all their money. And they decided it was a sign for them. They didn't feel right to beg. And it was a sign for them. They decided that Bhagavan, God, wanted them to end their lives here. And they found this house and went inside and locked it up and just resigned themselves to die there. And so when they were brought to Maharaji, he hollered at them and said, what do you think? God doesn't know where you're at? What's going on with you? And he gave them money and for the trip back home, and they certainly sent it back when they had the money again. And it's that banging on the door. That's why I ask you for what is hurting you in your life. Because we live in these patterns of unhappiness. All of us have them. And we just don't conceive that we could be free, or we're even attached to them. Our pain body just loves this stuff. So I'm knocking on your door. I'm knocking on your door. I want you to write in your questions. I want you to hear from you. I want to show you that you don't need to live with this pain in your life, whatever it is. Because the reality of our life, the reality of this reality we live in is love. That is its basic foundation. But we won't know that until we look in the places where we really can't see it. The darkest places, the places of despair, the places of fear. That's where we need to find the love. And we can, because it's there. But we shy away from these things. We don't want to deal with them. Oh, everything's fine. I'm going to be spiritual and just ignore this stuff. Well, it's not working that way. You can't leave any part of you behind. You have to become whole. And for that, you have to look at how you're not whole yet.
Living in the heart, which is where I want to live from all the time. I have this thing though, because I lived so many of my years in heightened energy, heightened kind of almost like a manic
energy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That I can't get used to just the mellowness of peace, and just the kind of softness of it. I'm having a struggle with that. I always reach for that heightened, emotion because it's familiar to me. It doesn't feel great.
Have it a heightened emotion, but make it a divine emotion. The problem is that you're attached to emotions that are tied into conflict.
Dramatic, yes.
Or dramatic, or into desires, or whatever, right? That's degrading. The same energy can be uplifting. People who have this great love that you want to live in can be very ecstatic. Look at the Krishna devotees. They sing all day. They don't care. They're having a great time. Life is a party when you're in that heart space. Find that. Get your excitement, get your hit, but get it in a way that it's healthy. And if you have attachments to the negative excitement, find out where it is, what it is. Is it on the thought level? Is it on the emotional level? At each moment, it can be on a different level. And dissolve it, dissolve it, dissolve it. Don't get comfortable in a life that has a certain amount of conflict. And how do you know what's your behavior? Watch your relationships. Watch your moods. Become self-aware. And when something is other than blissful, you got some work to do. I'm just, I'm really amazed at this myself. We went to the doctor's office a few days ago, and I'm like, I didn't get enough sleep. I was like crummy. Right? My whole personality was like yuck. And we're sitting there waiting for our appointment, and I'm noticing that on one hand, I'm like crummy, and I didn't care at all because I'm in this heart, and it's like so blissful. And it just struck me there in this sort of, very antiseptic environment. It's like I was like bathing in that bliss, and then feeling crummy. I get called in, and the girl is taking my blood, and I'm joking with her about her hair, and I'm having a great time. And my personality feels like crap. Who cares? You want to live there, I want to live there. So when the attachments are still there, and you can just observe that, there's your work. So do the work of untying yourself from that. And what you'll see is also, the thrill of the manic excitement. It starts to look more and more empty when you find the fullness here. It's like the excitement is like an excitement of running. There's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. And you really, that habit usually gets developed because there's a great emptiness felt. But the emptiness is funny when a lot of people have this emptiness, and that's where all the addictions come in. You pour some alcohol in it and try to fill it, and it never works. Or other drugs, or behaviors, or love affairs, or all kinds of stuff, right? And it never works. It never fills that emptiness. But interior to that emptiness is what you're seeking. The emptiness is just another layer of obstruction. And because we abhor that emptiness, we don't go there, where we can actually fulfill it. We run everywhere else. into this manic, like searching for something else. The fulfillment is here, interior to anything that's disturbing here, anywhere in our being. So work with that. And when you see a specific attachment, go after it. Don't let it just linger there. Okay?
We have a comment by Rose. She says, as you say, looking at how I am not whole yet, lately all my attachments are flying up on the screen and going. Everything is going, dropping away. What I name as my wholeness is going fast. In the light of awareness, wholeness is an empty sweetness.
Well, it depends what you're calling wholeness. I call your real being wholeness. But we get to this wholeness by going through emptiness. This is the trick. So we got all these attachments going and, this great life that we think is so full. And then we get spiritual and we think it's this really nice thing. But be warned, all of your attachments are going. They're hitting the screen, they're going. And you find that all of this, what you used to call wholeness, is actually emptiness. It doesn't have substance. And you find that emptiness that the Buddhists are so good at talking about. And in that emptiness is the heart. The emptiness is the recognition that nothing is real. Nothing is real. It's like you're in a dream at night and you realize that you're dreaming. And all the money you have in the bank in that dream is not real. And you freak out. You say, oh my God, I was going to build a palace. And now I see it's only a dream. What a disappointment. And then after the shock of that, you realize, now wait a minute, I'm still here. I'm still dreaming this life. Now we're in the waking dream. And I can love it for what it is. I can embrace it all. I don't have to be attached in order to love. I can know it's not real. So Nisargadatta said it so beautifully. He said, the lover is not real, the beloved is not real, but the love between them is real. The love between them is real. So when everything falls apart and you're freaking out or not, just come to that place of love. And you, Rose, know that very well. So I want to hear a follow-up question or comment on that. Anyone else? Knocking on your door? I know someone is in there in that empty house. I knew you were sitting on something.
No, I have more a question. What's the difference between wholeness and emotional detachments? Because, or what's the difference between, how can I put this? When you're no longer emotionally attached to things, is it because you don't care, or is it because somehow you've reached a place where it's just okay, things are good, and you don't have that angst of attaching?
Well, why don't you answer that? You're perfectly equipped to answer that for you. The attachment comes from a sense of emptiness, a sense of lack, right? We think we need this and that in order to not feel that shaky thing that comes from the fact that the ego somewhere knows it's a fraud. It's not even real at all. It just creates itself all the time. Recreates a seeming identity. So when we have that insecurity, then we cling to things that, and people and relationships and education and study and all kinds of stuff to give ourselves some sense of balance in a completely unmanageable situation. Trying to be somebody is completely unmanageable because that somebody will never be anybody. So when you start to see through this, non-attachment starts to set in.
Right.
And non-attachment doesn't mean detachment in terms of not caring. As a matter of fact, when you're attached, you don't care at all. You're just in it for yourself in relationships. You want them the way you want them for you, for your comfort, right? I want my son to be a doctor so I can feel good about myself. That's really the bottom line. If you love your son, you want him to be what he is. And you trust 100% that he will find his way. And you, by having this trust, you instill this trust in life in him. That's an expression of wholeness. Nothing is needed there because everything is already given in abundance. And the recognition of that is wholeness. Everything is already given in abundance all the time. So, what was your question?
There's no question.
Okay.
Rose has a follow-up.
Okay. Hi, Rose.
Attachments stand between us and love. When everything falls apart, love is revealed.
True. That's why it's so wonderful when everything falls apart. Only we're the last ones to know usually. But you can volunteer for everything falling apart, and then it comes in smaller, manageable doses usually. How do you volunteer for everything falling apart? What do you mean by that?
I get to think when Barry Katie asked that last question on her sheet, I look forward to experience this again.
The worst thing that can happen.
Crazy,
Right.
but
Yeah.
if I open myself to that, then when that challenge comes back again, I can recognize it and know that it's still there to teach me how to be free of it.
I'm willing to experience my worst nightmare again. I look forward to experiencing my worst nightmare again. That sounds crazy to everyone else who's not clued into what we're doing here, right? We can even go a step further and say, I can't wait to experience my worst nightmare again. Because when you can meet, first of all, you know, your worst nightmare, it may just happen again. So it's much easier to live looking forward to it than dreading it and living in fear, right? But if you really want to be free, you don't say just, I'm willing, okay, when it happens, another, as they say, excuse my English, another fucking growth experience coming down the pike, you know? But you can say, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come. You invite the parts of you to show themselves that are not yet enlightened, the parts of you that scare you, so you can become free. That is real desire and a really fast path. Abraham?
It comes to mind that poem that you read to us from Rumi about the welcome them.
The guest house.
That
Yes, right. Right. Life is like a guest house. A worry, a fear, an upset, moment where you make a total ass of yourself. All these things come. Let them come in. Embrace them. They may be sent as a guide from beyond. Like he says that they're like it's my words, a powerful broom coming to sweep your house clean. As a guide from beyond. I remember just little pieces of it. Great poem, written in the 1600s, I believe. This knowledge has always been there. And we just always repackage it and sell the old goods again.
I mean, most growth, those moments that I look back on where I felt like I've had the most growth were almost always from the most intense, at that moment, seemed like the most disastrous situation. But, if I went back and worked on it and learned on it, it was the aha moment from those situations. It's breathtaking.
It's in Buddhist philosophy, they have this, the Tibetans have this knowledge. They have the statues, you see the tankas and stuff of the peaceful Buddha. This wonderful Buddha with the halo and sitting there and just having a great old time with this little smile. Everything's nice. Well, that represents that moment in life on one level, right? And everything's just fine and everything is empty and clear. And then in that emptiness arises the other side of the peaceful Buddha, which is the wrathful Buddha. And it's these beings that look like this, with their teeth out and fires, all around them, and really intense. And those are known, first of all, they're also forms of the Buddha. They're not demonic. In the West, we have little idea of these things. You know, because usually they have a third eye painted into the forehead here in their iconography. So the divine force that comes with that fierceness, shaking you up, shaking you awake. And they are known as the knowledge givers. What knowledge? The knowledge to see through what scares you. And I go like this, but I should go like this to see through what scares you, because all your fears are in here. You're armoring, you're being careful with life so nothing hurts you, like you could avoid it. And you go through that into the heart, into the depth of your being, through the emptiness, through the nothingness, through the despair, through the hopelessness, through all of that. You go into the inside of it, and there is the solution. That's why I say, find what you're most afraid of and face it. There is your path. It opens through that. The way out is through, they say in AA. They have some wisdom there, because that's a lot of people who've walk this path in their way. The way out is through. But what we do, you see, and this is why I'm knocking at your door. What we do, we hide what we're afraid of. We run away from it. Or if we don't do it that way, then we indulge and we complain. But then it comes time to be spiritual. It's like going to church on Sunday. You put on your best, and suddenly you feel great. And the rest of the week, when you screw your customers and do whatever you do, is forgotten, and you're now spiritual. Well, it doesn't count. It's just a show. You've read every spiritual book going. Well, great for you. That gives you knowledge, and that's worth something, and these books can be deeply inspiring. But without practice, and how do you practice? You go into the trenches of your being. You find where the pain is, and you free yourself of the pain. Without that, it's worthless. Painted cakes don't satisfy hunger. All books are painted cakes. The source of what you are hungry for is here. And only to the point that books can point you here, can point you to that source. In whatever way they do, and it doesn't have to come the way I say it, right? Only to that extent they're helpful.
Gary, what about like the fear of moving into like a different direction in your life or a new direction in your life, and not being able to find that motivation to make that first step? Is there a particular way to go about that?
Well, what are you dealing with?
Just
No.
okay.
You're not dealing with facts.
Okay.
The question I'm asking is on a different level. What are you dealing with? Is it stressful thoughts that aggravate you, or is it emotions?
Sometimes
It always
I
comes
feel
down
like
to
it
those
just
two.
feels like laziness.
Laziness, okay, well then just be lazy. I'm going to tell you. You're still more interested in being lazy. So be lazy. But be lazy fully, be lazy consciously. Be lazy until you really experience your laziness at its depth. Then you're ready to shift. Some people are half lazy for 30 years, or maybe the rest of their lives. But you could be fully lazy and maybe it's done in 3 days. Because you find out it's really not that much fun. It's just another way of escaping. There is no real laziness. It doesn't really exist. It's just a way of not wanting to deal with things, not wanting to feel that fullness that we're talking about, because it's hidden by a veil of problems and you don't want to deal with them. So you park yourself into a place of listlessness and half-aliveness. It's escaping. One of the ways to escape is to play dead, like the chameleon does. Okay, I'll adjust my colors to the environment and they won't see me. Right? And maybe it works. And you can live like this for a few lifetimes. But if anything like this, if you have some kind of half-assed problem that's just been around for a long time and you're kind of stuck in that and you haven't moved out of it or so, just get enough tired of it to be half-assed fully. Be lazy fully, just really taste it. Then it will show you where your life is going. See? Get done with it. You already know it's not serving you. It's always, the principle is always the same thing. It's like you go toward it, not away from it. Like, I'm lazy. How can I be more busy? That's not a solution. Go into the laziness if that's your issue. Just like I'm saying with the fear, go into the fear. Go into that which you don't like. Experience it fully, become fully aware of it. Like, it sounds like you don't have to look far. It's right there. You're playing it out. It's like, when people have repetitive dreams, like repetitive nightmares, the monster comes and they, and it can, be pretty powerful. What I do with this is I have them go into that space where they can, like in a waking state, be back, relaxed enough to call up the dream monster in their imagination, and then talk to the monster. What do you want? How can I help you? And the answers are always amazing and exactly the opposite what the person's afraid of. I need help, I need love, I need friendship. Those are the answers that come from the monster. That's what our monsters want. Our monsters aren't monsters. We just make them into monsters in our own head. They're parts of us that need help. Like every nasty emotion is a part of you that needs help, but you've treated it like it's something to escape from, something to have a war with, beating yourself up about it. You have in you the solution to everything. And you can figure that out in terms of your mind, what to do. I'm already giving you some of the clues here. And you have in you the power to dissolve any disturbance. That is that power of love. And love is not an emotion, it's much greater than that, by dimensions greater. That love is the very creative source in you that has created this whole world inside of your mind, where it takes place. It's created by that love, that innermost essence of the heart. And so what you see around you, this whole world, is made out of the substance of that love. So I hope it becomes clear this is not some little emotion or some little attachment that we put that name on. Love is the most powerful thing in the world, in existence, period. And within that love, in this magnificent world that we happen to inhabit here, we human beings have created habits of war, habits of ignorance, habits of missing the mark. But something happened to us. We're no longer totally blind. We see some of what is that what we're looking at is not what it seems to be. It's not all that real, this material world. Mm-hmm. We're not run by the world. The world is run by that in us, that creative power in us. And to the point that we tune into that, our life magically transforms itself. And it's not a child's magic. It's the magic of sages. The magic of God's power in us. So if this attracts you, let yourself fall into it again and again. The mind, I just had this conversation with someone online. The mind is like a lake. And she didn't know that the word manas in Sanskrit, mind, means lake. It's like a lake. And it has these ripples on the surface, thoughts. And they keep rippling, 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 and we get caught in those ripples and in what we think is real and da 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 da. And they always make us look outside, they make us look into the world through our senses. We want something, we want something, we want it out there. So you let that manas, that mind, become still, like the lake in the very early morning hours when the wind hasn't picked up yet and it's completely clear like a mirror. And with the mind still, your attention can sink deeper into the depth of it and find there the heart and the depth of the lake and the depth of the ocean that never moves, that is outside of time and space, that projects from it the mind, the lake, and its world. Come home to yourself. This is where you are you. Here you are absorbed by the 10,000 things of this world. There's no end to it. And there's always suffering in the texture of that. But here you are at home. And here even your body and mind can fall apart and not be in good shape because, it might happen. But you are here. And you are not disturbed because you're not attached to this vehicle of your life, this personality. That is the way to freedom. That is the way to fullness, to wholeness. And there's no way because we are already there. We just get sucked into the old habits of illusion again and again. But we're already here. We're living here. You wouldn't exist if that source of the innermost heart, the hridayam, wasn't there. So go visit it every once in a while. There's no work to do here. This is non-dual love. And you have to understand love completely to understand non-dual love, because most people think love is about duality. No, never. Love is that state of non-dual existence experienced in a world of apparent but never real duality. That is what love is. And we're it. Get curious. Taste it. You may like it. If you like it, have a little more. If you like it, have a little more than more. You may really like it. You may become addicted to it. Great. When you're addicted, what's worse than addiction? Dependence. Oh my God. Become dependent on that, and you become free. And you become truly a light shining in this world. You don't have to do anything. You're just yourself. But everyone you touch will be touched. It's like you're the carrier of the virus, and it will spread.
How does it look like to be completely immersed in that state in which you're just yourself? How
It looks like
picture?
going to the doctor's office one morning, feeling crummy, tired and ugh, and being absolutely fine. Because you don't identify it. But what it looks like, you question what it looks like anyone living a normal life.
So what is the difference?
The difference is in the old way, you take life seriously. You're attached to your drama. Like, let's say you have a victim drama. That's your old attachment, meaning your old fear. So your aversion and attachment are the same thing. You're stuck to it, right? If you have a victim pattern inside of you, the people that love you the most will appear as your enemies after a while. You will create that same drama because it's inside of you. It's like the love inside of you looks through or shines through this lens of your particular, let me call it pathology, and I don't mean that literally. Your particular distortion, your particular conditioning, right? You have a conditioning of abandonment or neglect or something like that, then you're going to start to see this everywhere. That's why I'm saying you have to go into that lens, into that pattern, and see it as not real.
How does it look like going into that pattern?
Well, it looks like this. If you know, well, you can't do with the stuff that you don't know yet. So sometimes, there are layers that show up later. But what you know about yourself, what causes you stress, that's where the work is, right? So invite it. What is it that you would say? You just spoke about this 6th question on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet by Byron Katie. What is it that you don't ever want to experience again? Answer that question.
Right now?
Yes. It's all illusion. We might as well deal with it.
Abandonment is a big thing for me.
Right. I don't ever want to be abandoned again. So then what happens is you start feeling abandoned because your being is going to project it. You may indeed not be abandoned, but your experience seems very real. Say, great. Here is my old nemesis. Now I can do some work. I can set myself free. Now I'm willing to feel abandoned again. I'm looking forward to being abandoned again. Or even the strongest, I can't wait to feel abandoned again. Why would you say that? And it would be real. It sounds crazy to everyone else, but not to someone who really wants to be free. And then when you feel even a tinge of abandonment, you go to it and you milk it. Oh, let me just see. Let me find the thoughts in there. Let me feel the feelings. Let me work with this pattern and dissolve it. We have the skills. Why do you sit in your misery rather than use them on what it needs to be used at? It's like you live in a house and it's got stinking dirt in a corner, but you say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to ignore it because I've lived like this and it's comfortable now. It's comfortable now to live. The little smell is fine. It's okay. Mm-hmm. No, go into the damn corner and clean it out. But you have to want that first. You have to be committed to your freedom to the point that this doesn't scare you off anymore. You have to realize that in the love in you, you are more powerful than anything that can scare you.
Question. When do you do this? I'm like, say you're like, whatever feeling you get, you're at work or you're in public, you're saying to work on it, no. So you go home and meditate?
When you're at work or in public, you realize that you had stashed it away for how many years, and you can stash it away for a few more hours. So there's no problem there, okay? So you don't have to fall apart in your boss's office or something, right? Because he reminds you of your abusive stepfather or something, right? No, we don't do that. But we go home and we say, that was really delicious. Tongue in cheek, but real, right? And you say, okay, so let me sit down. So what is disturbing me here? Check with yourself. Are the thoughts strongest? Then go to the work. Is it the emotional imbalance? Go to the open attention. Sometimes it's this sort of subtle veil, this just distracted mind, this sense of underlying anxiety and everything, right? Meditation, stillness, right? So these are your primary tools. Go after them, but you won't go after them unless you realize that you really want to be more free than be attached to the dirt in the corner. And the dirt in the corner, is the part of you that wants to be free, that needs help. Because you're not really comfortable in the smelly house, no matter what you tell yourself. You've told yourself a million times, oh no, it's okay, I don't have to deal with this because it's too scary. It was too scary. But the point is, it was. And you're capable of doing things now, overcoming things now that you weren't able to overcome, 3 hours ago, never mind 30 years ago. So what happens is this is sort of where we get stuck, is because when we were, say, abused or abandoned or something like this, we were much younger and we were very vulnerable and it hurt like hell. And now it's many years later and that same pain is still down in the corner. And whenever you touch it, it's like that 16-year-old or 5-year-old to whom it happened gets in, oh no, I can't handle it. But what is it now? It's imagination. Your pain is based in the imagination. You survived the real thing. Do you think you can survive the imagination of it? You've already survived it all these years. But you've kept it at bay, not wanting to deal with it. Staying in this place of half alive and half dead. Half happy and half miserable. Those are the people Jesus spoke about them. He says, the lukewarm ones, I spit them out. Be hot or cold, but not lukewarm. And we're all lukewarm someplace, right? So I'm talking this way so you catch that fire that says, God damn it, I got to do it. And I got to do it now because I'm tired of it. I just ruined my reputation with the fundamentalist Christians because I cursed. Damn it. Go ahead.
Rose says we are not our attachments, yet who are we without these identities?
Ah, Rose, that's good for you to find out, isn't it? You're nothing and you're everything. That's sort of the quick philosophical answer. And you appear as that as which you appear. You appear as the loving woman in her world, who is a source of love to many because she's a source of love to herself. That's who you are. Remember, the lover isn't real, the beloved, which is the whole world, isn't real. But the love between them is real.
And she says, keep knocking and the joy inside will eventually open a window. That's by Rumi.
Yes. The other thing by Rumi is, he says, the door opens, I've been knocking from the inside. And the one who's knocking has to be you. I can only talk about knocking, you see. But I'm outside of you. I'm not inside of you. What's knocking is that guru in you, the Sat Guru in you, which is that heart we're talking about, that awareness in you. That is knocking as we speak. It's expressing itself through these words in me. And it is hearing itself in you through your ears into your heart, where it is pushing up against the boundaries that you set yourself. So keep knocking, and love will open the door. Good? Did we do good? Did I miss anything? You have some announcements, right? Are we going to do this thing on Tuesday?
You want to let them know about that, yeah.
Okay, what am I letting them know about? This coming Tuesday, we will have a new event, and it's an online event, so we're not going to meet here. It's just online. It's a Google Plus, whatever they call that. They don't.
Hangout. Hangout.
Hangout. Hangout. I love it. Much better than a conference or something. We're going to hang out. And you're invited to come with your questions and your problems. And I make myself available. Hang out with Ramgiri. Why don't we call it that? Real simple, right? And we're going to hang out, but I don't like to hang out and get stupid. I like to hang out and go into the heart with you. And in the process, remove everything that's in the way for you. So you're invited. I was looking for a long time for some way that I can make myself available without the exchange of money, and this is a way. So you're invited, and if you have friends who are into this, they're invited, and let's spread it and let's see what happens. And what happens is as much dependent on you as it is on me. No, that's not true. What happens is totally dependent on you. And I will do my best to show up for that. Okay?
So the format, so we all understand, is imagine Skype, right? You're talking with somebody and you're seeing the person, but instead of being one-on-one, there's going to be a panel of 5 people or 3 people or 9 people max.
1 to 9.
Right, 1 to 9. 9 is the maximum. And in that, you're going to be able to ask questions to Ramgiri directly.
But can also people who are just watching it send questions in like we do here?
No, not really.
Not really. Oh,
They
let's see.
they
what
can
you can
request to be part of the panel for the next session.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to request some people to be part of this panel. But if you have questions, you can send us an email.
Right.
And then we'll have them send it beforehand, not during the session.
And the email is?
The email is Ramgiri.
No. Info.
Thank you. At skillsforawakening.com. info@skillsforawakening.com. Yes, send it there, not to me.
But this will be.
If you want it to be hard.
This will be shared via Google Plus and everywhere, so you know what it is. And we plan to continue this as we are in India.
That's also one of the reasons why we're switching to this is because we won't have a satsang of this nature there. We will have different satsang, and we'll figure out when we get there how to broadcast that with KK and others.
How many hours away is it here?
Depending, right now it's 9.5. Usually it's 10.5. But with the time change that we have here, it's 9.5. Right?
Okay.
Is it gonna start at 7, and is it for the first 9 people who
No,
sign in?
it's by invitation.
It's by invitation for now.
Signed in.
So that's why we want everybody to send questions
Send
in
us
advance.
questions, get active with that. And, I'll pick people who I feel drawn to talk to.
Yeah. But then that's going to be part of the panel, but it's open to whoever wants to tune in and just listen. Right? But the panel of the 9 people max are going to be able to talk directly with Ramgiri. Yeah? And that's for 1 hour.
It's Google Plus?
Yeah.
And, it'll all become clear when we do it.
Right.
So just come join us if you can. If not, you can watch it later. It's going to be on YouTube, I guess, immediately, right? Automatically.
I don't know about that exactly. I have to find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll let you know. The newsletter is coming out, so sign up for that if you haven't. That's how we stay in touch and communicate stuff. Okay? Thank you. Namaste. Be well. Do we have any kirtan on
Yes.
tap?
Yeah.
We do? Great.
Yeah.
We have kirtan, so we get to hang out a little longer.
No,
Go ahead.
So we know this one already. Okay, so I'm going to sing one line and you guys sing the next. Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya 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 Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
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 Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda
Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya